New York of the Upper East Side is not at all like the New York of Astoria, Queens. So different are the two neighborhoods that it's almost laughable for them to claim the same city of residence. I settled into the Brooklyn neighborhood of Williamsburg, which is less like Seinfeld and more like Blue Bloods. The buildings are smattered with graffiti and bursting with third-wave coffee shops. Hipsters and Latinos mingle with a remnant population of Hasidic Jews who have decided to stay put, even as the neighborhood gentrifies. I spy more menorahs during Hanukkah than twinkling trees at Christmas. On the waterfront, Brooklyn residents lounge with loved ones on benches beside the East River and watch the summer sun sink into the skyline. The final rays of dusk wash Manhattan skyscrapers with sheets of light on clear nights. During the autumn months, McCarran Park fills with guitarists and flag football teams, and a weekend farmer's market where you can purchase apple cider and Tupelo honey and rhubarb jelly. Living here is just as lovely as it sounds. The delights of New York did not blindside me, of course, but I never anticipated, upon arriving, that I'd run into a crippling language barrier. Sure, I could order a late-night kebab from a halal street cart or relay an address to a taxicab driver. I spoke English as well as I always had. My problem was that I could no longer speak God. Prior to moving to New York, I resided in a suburban neighborhood in the heart of the Bible Belt. Almost all of my friends were Christian, and most of us attended the same type of church. I worked as a minister to a congregation outside of Atlanta, and before that I was a full-time seminary student. The community in which I was immersed was so thoroughly Christian I sometimes forgot that other people practiced different religions, or none at all. In this world, there was a kind of cultural Christian lingo that most speak and almost everyone else understands. If someone sneezed, a stranger might say, "God bless you." The sneezer would not stop to think, "What do you mean by God?" or by bless. If someone mentioned that he had been saved, born again, or attended a Bible-believing church, no follow-up question was needed. On meeting a new acquaintance, Southerners will usually ask where they attend church rather than if. I used religious language with ease in the South, rarely pausing to think about the meaning of my words. I grew up surrounded by these syllables of faith, used daily in my home and community, but I was not in Georgia anymore. I penned columns about the intersection of faith and culture from my Southern Christian enclave, but as it turns out, pontificating about a post-Christian society is far easier than living in one. In New York, religious fluency is not assumed. The majority of residents don't attend church on any given Sunday, and only about 3% of the population is evangelical Protestant like I was raised. I soon discovered people who had never heard the sacred words I'd long taken for granted, and others use them with wildly different meanings. I realized this linguistic chasm en route to visit a church in Manhattan on my first Sunday in New York. Waiting on a subway platform, a woman standing next to me asked where I was headed. I explained that I was going to a worship service. She asked for clarification, having never heard that phrase. I clarified that I was new to the city and was going to visit a church. She perked up and said she practiced the Baha'i faith. She held up her crystal amulet necklace and explained that it protected her from evil spirits. If I was spiritually curious, the woman said, she'd read my chakra and access the invisible energy fields around my body. As we talked about our respective religious practices, it became clear that neither of us understood what the other was saying. I glanced down the dark tunnel in hopes of spotting a train, but rescue wasn't in sight. She peppered me with questions about God and the Bible and the afterlife. I fumbled for answers, but what came out didn't make much sense. When I used terms I considered common, grace or gospel or salvation, my conversation partner stopped me mid-thought to ask for a definition, please. I sputtered, stuttered, stammered, trying to rephrase those words in ordinary vernacular.